This activity name for this program is Entry Art Education for Indigenous People. This program is organized by all students for the EPPE2523 2022-2023 in collaboration with Sulam UKM. This program took place successfully on Sunday, December 18, 2022 at Kampung KACHAU LUAR. It has involved a total of 25 villagers and 50 students accompanied by a course advisor. In total, the expenditure for this program is as much as RM118.225. A various type of committees have been established to make this program success, including ESCO multimedia, program, technical and so on.
Assalamualaikum, my name is Nabila. Firstly, I will start with the introduction. Indigenous people basically represent minority groups in the world. According to the United Nations, about 350 million indigenous people are living in over 70 countries and represent about 5% of the total world population. In context of Malaysia, indigenous people represent 0.6% of the total population of Malaysia. Due to their small number, the native are often forgotten by society and underprivileged. The practice of the traditional way of life and the remain of their ancestors cause them to experience various problems following the current development. Because of that, indigenous people are always lacking in obtaining information and technology to manage their daily life. In this study, we found that indigenous people are involved in the issue of personal hygiene care and also living area. Garbage disposal by the native is not managed, where they do not separate garbage, do not have a dedicated garbage dump, and throw garbage anywhere, such as by the house and also in the bush area. This study was conducted to identify the extent of the knowledge of the indigenous people in the practice of 3R at Kampung KACHAU LUAR. So next, for the simple explanation about the concept, I'll start with the concept of indigenous people. Indigenous people are distinct social and cultural groups that share collective ancestral ties to the land and natural resources where they live, occupy, or from which they have been displaced. The major groups are Tenoy, Proto-Malay, and Negrito. Apart from orang asli, indigenous people are also known as Aslian and are often referred to as Sakai. But the term of Sakai not always being used because it gives a bad meaning, such as stupid, wild, and violent. Next is 3R. 3R refers to reusing, reducing, and recycling material that are no longer used. The concept was first proposed by the former Prime Minister of Japan, Mr. Junichiro Koizumi. This idea had been endorsed in a way to change the global consumption and production pattern to build a sound material cycle society through the effective use of resources and material. Then move on to the methodology. This program was conducted to obtain data related to the extent of orang asli knowledge related to menstrual poverty and 3R practice. This research used quantitative method where the questionnaire related to the objective was distributed before and after the 3R activity and menstrual poverty was handled. This questionnaire contains 3 parts, namely A, B, and C. Part A represents information related to the respondent, while B and C represent related to menstrual poverty and 3R practice. The data from this finding will be used to see how far the objective of this activity have been achieved. Based on the observation, there are 25 people in the village who have successfully answered the questions posed by the program.
Based on the indigenous people in Kampung KACHAU LUAR that participated, there are 2 ethnicities from among the population. The first is the original ethnicity at 76.9% and the remaining is the Temuan ethnicity at 23.1%. The majority that participated in this program were women compared to men with 18 people. The program attendees were mostly children and teenagers, where most of them are children aged between 7 to 12 years old, while the second highest is teenagers aged 13 to 18 years old, and the lowest is both the 19 to 24 and 49 to 54 categories. Next, the percentage, and they either work in the government sector or the private sector, are jobless or work alone, while the majority of the percentage are students, considering that the participants that joined the program mainly consisted of children aged 7 to 12 years old. We can also conclude that most of the participants are single. This is obvious because most of the participants are students and below 18 years old. There are three main religions that have been identified. The first religion widely practiced by the villagers is Islam at 41.7%, followed by Christianity, and the least is animism at 8.3%, while the remaining percentage is others at 12.5%.
The importance of reduce, reuse, and recycling garbage needs to be introduced to everyone. Before the program started, the survey results showed that 12 people found 3R important. 4 other people found it fairly important, and 3 people found 3R very important. Only one person each stated that 3R is not at all important and slightly important. It is similar with the importance of recycling. Most of the respondents already understand that recycling is important. There are 7 and 2 people that do not understand or are not sure about the importance of recycling respectively. Whilst for the meaning of 3R itself, only 5 people understand, the majority of the indigenous community have not understood the meaning of 3R. This result suggests that the indigenous community has a little bit of background knowledge in regards of reduce, reuse, and recycling. However, after the program is done, more people have a deeper understanding of 3R. More than 60% of the people agreed that 3R is important, while only 1% disagreed and 2 people said it was slightly important. But this result is acceptable considering some of the respondents are children. Those who don't understand recycling can finally understand. The number of people who are not sure has been reduced to 1, and the rest have understood and completely understand. Everybody understood the meaning of 3R because 8 responded, however, only 8 respondents completely understood the meaning of 3R. In the beginning, the majority of the indigenous people think that recycling is a complicated matter, with 44% of people thinking it's complicated and 8% of the people are not sure about recycling. In terms of which bins are reserved for 3R, most of the indigenous people know the answer, while 20% of them are not sure and 16% have no idea about it. The majority of the indigenous people did not know that garbage have to be sorted to the respective bins. Only 6 people out of the total know that it has to be done. This shows that the education on 3R in the indigenous community is limited. As it can be seen, after the program is conducted, many improvements have been made in their understanding 3R. Even though more people agreed that recycling is a complicated process, it is acceptable since having to separate and sort different garbage is a new thing. A staggering percentage of 95.8 now know which bins are reserved for 3R. In terms of sorting garbage, all 100% of the indigenous people know why the garbage should be sorted based on the respective bins. There are a few policy suggestions that can be given to both the people and the government in regards to 3R. First of all, people are encouraged to donate the items that are still usable for others. Companies are encouraged to use more durable materials that can be repaired instead of replaced. The government has to be involved in 3R as well. Implementation of policy in regards of educational campaigns and financial incentive is important. Government should invest in waste management infrastructure to make it easier for citizens to reduce, reuse, and recycle. This can include providing access to recycling centers, providing access to composting facilities, and providing access to donation centers. Government should implement regulation to reduce the amount of waste produced. This regulation can include banning single-use plastics, mandating the use of recycled materials in certain products, and setting limits on the amounts of waste that can be produced. Government should consider implementing taxes on products that are not recyclable or reusable. This can help to discourage the production of these products and encourage the use of recycled and reusable materials.
The impact for this program is divided into 3, namely on students, the community, and the university. Well, for the student part, the first one is strengthen student knowledge. Indirectly, This program can strengthen students' knowledge related to the current issue of environmental education. Through this program, students will find source of information related to the two topics. So, the student can strengthen their skill in finding information to be used as a content for discussion in this program. Second, assess students' critical abilities. Each group member will contribute their ideas. From each idea will be examined for its advantage, reasonableness, goodness and weakness. So in this context, each member of the group will try to give more critical ideas to comply with the concept of the program, which toward the contribution to the community. Thirdly, more effective communication. Each group has up to 5 members, so a diversity of ideas and opinion will result. Through the program, they can respect each other's ideas and discuss more truly to reach an agreement. Next, to the university. Firstly, it's empowering volunteer culture. This program can educate UKM students to contribute service to the community. This is said to be so because this program also contains activities such as gotong royong. This can allow students to contribute their energy to clean up the area around the village. This is in line with UKM's aim to produce students who are actively to get involved in volunteer activities. Secondly, is expand the learning syllabus. Students do not only focus on learning activities in the classroom. This means they can be active by generating new ideas through community programs like this. This situation can make learning and teaching activities more effective and efficient. Lastly, is produce quality university product. This program is a very positive input to the university. This is said because such a program can show that the university is not just a place to produce academicians who only study on campus, but have the knowledge to contribute to society outside. And then lastly, to the community. Firstly, you can access the new information. Villagers, especially the indigenous people, find it difficult to get access to new information. The introduction to these environmental education activities and current issues give them stimulus of new ideas. The indigenous community will be more broad-minded and understand what is brought about through this program. Secondly, it improves well-being. Well-being in this context is evaluated in terms of the participation of indigenous community. This shows that the participant in this program can be said to be only 30%. This is likely from some residents going out to the town to attend some public event. Even so, the majority of these who participate in this educational program show a positive on their level of knowledge and acceptance. And lastly is education outside the classroom. The program run by university students is a great input, especially for those who are still in school in this indigenous village. This is said because the topic brought up in this program is very light and is an issue that is commonly here.
Okay, for this part, we will talk about activity evaluation analysis. It is based on general knowledge related to the topic program. Indigenous villages understand and know about environmental education such as the 3R practice. This environmental education program is important to the community, especially for those who live in rural areas and it is difficult to get access to outside communication. So through a program like this, residents will get information related to the matter. For example, they already know that trash need to be separated according to the color of the trash bin, which are blue, brown and orange. Previously, they only knew that the trash cans were only black and the trash did not need to be separated. For the second part is about the strength of activity. Firstly, a mix of international and local students. The participation of international students can also provide exposure to the culture of the community in this country and the diversity of communities found in this country. Secondly, interesting topic. The topic for this program, which is environmental education, is a matter that is easy for everyone to understand, including the elderly and children. Lastly, complete organizational structure. This program is that it has a complete organizational structure in terms of action, control and implementation level with a large number of members.
For the emerging issues, we find there are three main issues. First is Indigenous people do not understand the survey question. This may result in bias finding when questions are not answered correctly. Among the causes that can be identified by the researcher is the relatively large number of questions. Some Indigenous villagers, especially the adults, complain that the questions given are too many for them to answer. This causes them to not read the question correctly and not understand the question asked. Some have eye problem where they are nearsight but do not wear any glasses. Therefore, they answer the questionnaire casually as long as all the questions were answered. Secondly, the Indigenous villager also find it difficult to understand the issue being explained by the student. They take quite a long time to understand, which the student need to explain slowly in the simplest sentences. This is because some of them do not receive a formal education, so their level of exposure to recycling and menstruation is very limited. This becomes a problem for the student because the time set to do the group activity is limited. Finally, wide target audience. This study was conducted without focusing on just one group, either children or adults. This caused the delivery of knowledge not to be done comprehensively. Delivery method and approach used for children are different for adults. So when there is a mix-up, confusion and misunderstanding can occur. So it is better to conduct future study by focusing on one group only.
From our direct experience and perspective, we suggest that any activities or programs related to the educational aspect of period poverty and waste management should be repeated on weekly or monthly basis due to the Indigenous villages' difficulties in understanding two quite heavy topics in a short amount of time. According to a 2019 research, making a memory is a multi-step process that we engage in on a daily basis, and when all of the process is followed, this is what allows us to learn and create long-lasting memories. Most importantly, it all takes time. Next, we noticed that they could not quickly grasp the meaning of the questions, although academicians and those likewise understand it. So we would like to suggestions should be created at the Indigenous community's level of capability and understanding. For instance, the number of questions could be lessened and the grammatical structure could be adjusted to become simpler questions. This would help the participants to easily and efficiently answer every question during the limited time given. Last but not least, as mentioned before, delivery methods and approaches used for children are different from adults. Perhaps in the near future, the focus should be on one particular age group instead of combining all ages. But if different ages are combined, then perhaps a much more suitable approach or delivery should be used, thus resulting in a better analysis survey outcome.